everybody, welcome to our lesson. I'm your instructor, John Pomeroy, and this lesson is all about how to draw a cartoon head. Now, in our previous lesson, we talked about how to construct a human head, a realistic human head, but this time we are going to make it a cartoon head. We'll talk about the basic forms that you can use. We'll talk about approaches, how to get things that look, funny or devious and villainous, or whatever type of emotion that could be attached to this particular character, we want to exaggerate. So let's get into this lesson. So let's start drawing a cartoon head. And the way we're going to do that is let's start with just some basic shapes, okay? I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to draw a triangle, a square, and an oval. And these shapes basically make up the greater percentage of cartoon character heads: circles, triangles, squares, and ovals. Now you can include also rectangles in that. It's basically a square that's been mashed together. But these basic forms will give you everything that you need in order to start to construct a really good cartoon head. So let's try our first one. We will do a princess. Let's do a oval head. You know what? I'm going to take a new piece of paper. We will start with an oval. An oval or heart shape is a good place to start. I slowly draw that in. And I will give it a neck right away, shoulders. Divide your head into 4 equal parts. You've got your eye line right there and what I call your medial line that runs right through the center of the head. These are all important landmarks for you to construct all of the different features. So we've got our oval or heart shape. We've got our neck. We've got our eye line and we've got our medial line. Now, like what we did for the realistic human head, we don't need to use a block, but we do, that eye line is really important to start to position where the basic eyes go. Now, this is a female character, a princess character. We start with a very sweet little rounded chin. And up here at the eye line, we want to do some at a slight angle to give it a very feminine appearance. Almond shapes. Nice big round almond shapes. And that's the basis for our eye. And they're like the realistic head, they're about an eye apart. We don't want them too close together and we don't want them too far apart. We want them just right. And then on top of that, we want to create a network of eyelashes. There's the eyelid, eyelashes. They could be thick and bushy, they could be long and delicate, whatever you want. But remember, this is the princess. On top of that, just over that eye, remember I said it was about the width of the eye from the bottom of the top and then measure off another eye width. Again, that would be a good placement for your eyebrow on either side. And shapes vary. Some of them are thin. Some have a nice thickness to them, which is the type I like. and then an eyelid. And then inside that, we want to place the pupil. Now, some eyes like to have some slight bottom lashes. Not too much, just a little bit. So there's our pupil. Now, with a smaller point, I'm going to go in there and say, hey, our pupil, we've got the iris, and then we've got a pupil in there with a nice reflection. And then a slight cast shadow from the lashes, which give the eyes some depth. Now I'm going to shade in the iris just a little bit. And that cast shadow really gives you some depth. Just a little bit goes a long way. I'm also going to shade in the underneath part of the brow. That will give it some additional depth and beauty too. It really frames the eye. So there we have our princess eyes. Now next, we want to position the nose. Now remember, we had divided between the eye line and the chin. It was portioned into three. One, two, three. So right there at that third portion is probably the bottom part of your nose. And with female characters, you don't have to do a lot of line work. As a matter of fact, less is more. Remember that. Less is more with a female face. I'm just going to very delicately identify where the nostrils go and where the bridge of that nose will be with just a few lines. I want to keep it very, very light. Matter of fact, I want to take some of the line off of that nostril. Just a little bit goes a long way. And then the next space down, the next third down, we want to place our mouth. So remember, underneath that line is just a little bit underneath is where rests the lower lip. So there's our lower lip. Remember that if you extend the iris down, you basically identify the corners of the mouth. So there's the corners of our mouth. I'm going to sculpt her lip just a little bit and give her an upper lip. You can show her teeth. You can start seeing that she's the princess. Her ears will be about as long as her nose. So they would hug the face, be right about there. See just a little bit of indentation. Where that ear ridge is. I'm going to bring in her cheekbone just a little bit to give that some definition right there. I'm going to bring her chin up just a little bit. I can even give her some rouge on the face, make her cheeks a little rosy. And then we can start thinking about identifying the hair. So if she has large volume of hair on the back, if she has a part right here over her eyebrow, And the hair is always really fun. If right there at the part, all the hair would kind of radiate. And so a large portion of her hair would wrap around this way, and then a larger part would wrap around this way, and then return up into a little curl. And then maybe she would have earrings on either side. We would see a little wisp of hair maybe coming down her neck on the back side. Being the princess, she may have a crown or a tiara, so we'll create one for her. It's just something simple. And then a large body of hair coming off the back side of her hair, swinging around, and then wrapping over her neck. And there's our princess. We'll give her some stardust, some pixie dust. There's our princess. Now, let's take another head shape. Let's go for something kind of wacky and goofy. And I'm thinking of a triangle head. So I'm going to take, we've reused the oval, I'm going to take the triangle shape, and I'm going to create that into a head of a funny character. Now, we have our triangle shape there. We will use our median line. We will use the eye line, same as the oval, same as the princess. We will give, on that eye line, we will do 2 large circles, 2 large eyes, both the same size. We will give this character just above the eyes, large, thick eyebrows, stubby little eyebrows. So already he's starting to look a little on the funny side. And then we'll bring in pupils close together where the 2 circles of the eyes meet. Give him a highlight on his pupil. So we have our basic head, triangular head. We've got our eyes, we've got our eyebrows. The next, let's give him a fun hairdo. So coming off the top of his head, we'll give him a little hairline right there at the top of his top of his triangle, and we'll make this a funny curly hairdo. Like that. So almost like a little carrot top. And then extending from the eye line down, we will add these big, huge floppy ears. Remember, cartooning is the art of exaggeration, so we're going to exaggerate here. And we'll give some definition to the ears with some ear ridges. We'll give him a kind of a fun, long nose. Here's our triangle shape, big eyes. And we will extend from one corner of the mouth, just under, just under the eye, in between the edge of the triangle and the nostril. That'll be the corner, one corner of his mouth. That'll be his cheek right there. Cheek on the other side, the corner of the mouth, same position on the other side of the nose. And there's his mouth. And then extending from underneath the mouth, Now remember here, will be his lower part of his jaw. I'm going to give him big buck teeth, like rabbit teeth. Open his mouth just a little bit. Give him a little bit of a lip. And I'm going to extend the edges of that triangle down, just taper it down diagonally a little bit into a neckline. And that would be like the top of his shirt and shoulders. And there's our goofy character. Now next, I'm going to use the rectangular shape. And for a rectangular shape, I think I would like to create a villain, a mean character. So let's take this I'll take this rectangular shape. Now we've used the triangle, we've used the oval. Now we're going to use the rectangular shape. I'm going to make it a little bit longer because we're going to really caricature. We're going to really exaggerate this character. We'll start out with a long triangle. Now, I'm going to give him a median line, just like we have done before, but I'm going to place the eye line way up here. Now, in cartooning, we can do that. We can have fun with creating different combinations of eye lines and nose shapes and all kinds of exaggerations. So eye line is going to go way up here. I'm going to place my eyes. These eyes will be slightly pierced, or in other words, they are pinched right there at the brow to give him kind of an evil appearance. And off the top of the eyes, radiating down to the sides of his head, are his big, thick, bushy eyebrows. This is our villain. And then underneath will be these glaring pupils. And just to seat these eyes into the face, I'm going to create these little dark bags underneath the eyes. So there's his eyes. And then we'll create some wrinkles in the forehead just above the eyebrows. Looking very menacing. Now, going all the way down the medial line to the bottom of the rectangle, I'm going to create an arc, and that's going to be his mouth, that arc shape. Pinched at the corners, very thin lips, hardly any chin. We got this long gap between the eye line and his mouth. Also at the top, I'm going to give him a little pointed head. I'm going to give him a brow line and then a cheek line. I'm going to really exaggerate that cheekbone coming out. Same thing on the other side, really exaggerating it. And then between the pinched brow and the mouth, I'm going to extend it all the way down, and that's going to be his nose. I'm going to give him this big, huge, bulbous nose. Like a giant teardrop. Large nostrils on either side. And then extending from that, we have some wrinkles at the cheek line. We have an indentation here above the lip. The sides of his head. I'm going to extend wrinkles and more bags from the eyes. I'm going to shade in the brow a little bit, making him a little more villainous. I'm going to give his nose a couple of big warts. Even the side of his face, some warts. I'm not sure if he'll have a neck. I think he'd have a back, maybe even a hump. And extending from the bottom of his nose down to his lip, I'm going to give him a mustache. And the mustache comes all the way around and actually turns into a beard. All the way around his lip. You can make it any kind of beard you want. I'll give him a collar, shoulders. He would have some huge ears, droopy ears. And his hair, we can just have some stubble for the hair. And there's our villain. Wow. Next, I think last what I'd like to do is the hero character. And the hero character would be basically a rectangle also, but just a little more stout. We would take that shape and modify it just a little bit. So let me rough in the rectangle. And this will be for our hero character. And once again, cartooning, like animation, is the art of exaggeration. We're going to diagonally, well, first of all, medial line, and then I'm going to place the eye line, not quite as high as the villain, but just a little bit higher. Say there's the middle line. We're just going to go a little bit above that. We're going to give him a nice big jaw. So the eye line is right about there on the rectangle. And what we're going to do is we're going to diagonally extend out the rectangle a little bit for his jawline. We're building it off a rectangle, but we want to make him a little more chin-like and a nice big stout neck. He's a superhero. Give him nice broad shoulders. Give him some nice hair. Okay, his eye line is right there. We want to give him a nice set of eyes. Slightly almond shape, resting on that eye line. There's his eyes. And then above that, I'm going to cock one eyebrow up like that. He's pretty confident. He's a superhero. Nice and thick. A couple of wrinkles there. Give him slight eyelids. Shade those in just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more depth. I'll give him a pupil. Makes his eyes just a little more radiant, and maybe even give him a little slightly cast shadow. Now from his brow line, we would extend down about, say, between the eye line and the chin line. Once again, if we were to do it in thirds, one, two, see, right about there. So the top third is where his nose would be. A nice chiseled little nose. Put that in shadow. Shade in that brow on this side. And then I'm going to give him some nice cheekbones. And those cheekbones would extend down. We won't see that construction too much, but we'll know that it's there. There's his jawline. He's got a big wide jaw. And then right underneath the iris, past the iris a little bit, is the corner, one side of his mouth, with the cheek pushed up. Got a very confident, cocky smile. A little bit of his teeth showing. I'm going to finish off with his hair. Sideburns, side of his hair. I'm going to color that in a little bit. Ears that hug his head shape. I'm going to sculpt the hairline just a little bit. That would be the top neckline of his tunic. And there's our superhero. So we've taken quite a few. We've done the villain, we've done the princess, we've done the hero, and we've done the goofy character. And that is how you can draw cartoon heads. That was a good lesson. Did you learn a lot? It was amazing. I mean, every time I draw a cartoon head, it's like I'm revisiting my own past when I first started in animation. It's wonderful. Your assignment for this lesson is draw cartoon heads. I want you to go and draw all shapes and sizes. Draw rectangular cartoon heads. Draw triangular cartoon heads. Ball and circle shaped cartoon heads. Every type of cartoon head that you can think of. Sketch it out and draw it. Get prolific at it. The more you do, the better you become an artist. And I just urge you to be patient with yourself. It's a patient process. And I know that you're going to do some great cartoon heads. So sketch those. And I look forward to seeing you on our next lesson. Bye-bye.